Surprise!
My EV riders, I found some major surprises, some good surprises, some bad surprises, some mid surprises, riding my electric motorcycle. And I'm gonna tell you all about them. So stay tuned, watch this video, and let me know what surprises you expected and which ones you didn't. Welcome to MCC Just Motos.
Alright, hey guys, good morning, it's Andy. I'm on my S2 Del Mar headed to work, and I have a topic I wanted to talk to you about, and that's really just how surprising this Del Mar has been. You've probably seen a few reviews on it online by some of the professional motorcycle magazines, and that's great. And for the most part, I think they get most of it right, but there are some things that I am surprised about. I have about 3,500 miles on S2 platforms. This bike has over 2,500 miles. The biggest surprise I have is that this motorcycle has absolutely become my go-to motorcycle. I probably had 45, 65 different motorcycles, and this is my first EV that I've owned. Well, this platform's the first EV platform I've owned, and surprisingly, it really has become my #1 go-to bike. I'm really digging it. It's my best commuter that I have, and I commute about 35 to 45 miles each way every day, and it really is the best commuter bike I've had. For I'll tell you a few reasons. It is really inexpensive to operate, which I'll tell you about. To give you an idea, so this bike cost me about $1.10 to maybe $1.30 for every 100 miles I ride. $1.10 to $1.30. So a gas motorcycle gets me 40-50 miles a gallon. Same with the car. I have a hybrid, so it gets me about 40 miles a gallon. Factoring 40 miles a gallon, even in my hybrid car or a gas motorcycle, that gets me 40 miles a gallon. For 100 miles, that's basically 2.5 gallons. We'll just call it easy math there. So 2.5 gallons, 100 miles. Gas is close to about maybe $3.50. I'll call it that. So that's $6, $7, $8, $9, probably $9 to $15 if I'm using premium gas. So $9 to $15 for every 100 miles on a gas motorcycle or a hybrid car. This cost me $1.10, maybe $1.50. So I'm about 1/10 the cost of the operating cost, but it even gets more than that. Let me tell you why. Because in a gas bike, you have a lot of maintenance. You have oil changes, you have chain maintenance, you have services that cost a lot more because they're more in depth. This bike is really simple. EVs almost have no maintenance. I check the bolts, I check the belt tightness, I torque the bolts, I check my brake fluid, brake pads, tire pressure, done. I can do all the service myself, and even if you get it done, a service on this, like a 1,000-mile service, is about 200 bucks. I talked to my Harley dealer, 200 bucks. A normal gas bike, you're looking $500 to $800 depending on the type of motorcycle you're talking about. That can add up. So over a year period, you're probably saving $1,500, if not more. That's $100 a month, roughly, maybe a little bit more, in maintenance fees, plus 1/10 the mileage cost. Man, this bike is much less expensive to operate on a daily basis. You pay up front for this particular bike. No ifs, ands, buts about it. If you think about it, we're at $15,000. I'll say out the door, because in Maryland I can get $2,000 rebate, one from Harley, $1,000, or Livewire, and then also from the state of Maryland you get $1,000. So you can get this bike for about 15 grand out the door. Usually about $2,000 tax, title, license. This one, again, you get $2,000 rebate. I solidly believe that this motorcycle right here is a $20,000 motorcycle. I really believe that. For a comparable motorcycle with all the tech, all the features, I think this is about a $20,000 motorcycle that you can get for 15 grand out the door from Livewire. So yeah, you can get another MT-07 or something like that, and you're probably paying 8, 9, 11, 12, 13,000, you know, for a brand new motorcycle, I'm guessing. But you also, you know, let's say your payment is $100 more on this one because it's more expensive. You're saving over $100 a month in maintenance and mileage fees. So in the long run, I think we're almost there, if not there, for a operational cost to savings, you know, mileage per savings benefit. Okay, biggest surprise, the cost. Another big surprise, again, I say it's my go-to because it's been an excellent commuter. It's comfortable for me. Some people don't like this hard seat. I really like it. It doesn't cut into my thighs at all. I don't know what people are saying cut into your thighs. It does not cut into my thighs at all. It's great. I'm 5'9.5", weigh about 200 pounds, and it does not cut in my thighs. The seat's comfy enough. The handlebars are really comfy. So yeah, it's really been a great commuter. The windscreen here, which deflector, is actually really nice. It keeps all the main pressure off my chest, and it's really smooth airflow. As I've had this bike, I've had range anxiety. Yes, I did start with range anxiety, but now that I know my route, now that I know this motorcycle, really, I understand what the range is and where I am on battery life on this motorcycle. I just came down to 99%. You're like, hey, I went 7.5 miles, 99%. Well, actually, I know, because I've owned this motorcycle so long, the percentage doesn't drop until about 7.4 miles usually. If I'm more efficient, I can get up to sometimes 8 miles, 8.8 miles before the battery percentage drops. If I'm less efficient, like today, it dropped down to 7.1. So I know this battery pretty good. I know the range I can go. The way I'm riding right now, I could probably get 80, 84 miles out of this at about 60, maybe a little bit more. I'm getting about 80 to 110 miles per full charge on a daily basis, depending on how I drive, where I drive, what the stop-go traffic is like, and the route I take. So I'm getting 80 to 110 miles highway range, much more than the 40 miles it says in the manual. Now again, people say, oh, you know, the range calculation, that's the wrong thing. You want to, the mileage calculation, you really want to focus on the battery. I can get that range usually, or close to that range, going a lot faster than what the manual calls for. So that's pretty awesome. So range anxiety melted away. I also mapped out my route. I think 35 miles, you're fine if you, each way, if you don't have a charger at each end. I don't really charge anymore at work. I can, but I usually don't. You'll see why. I don't need to. Can I bump it up to 70 miles an hour? Sure. If I bump it up to 70 miles an hour, I'll get there 35 miles with about 55, 56%. So again, that will take me to about 70 miles, 75 miles range. The warmer the temperature, the better range I usually get. If it's really cold out, that will drop by like 20%. I also do a lot of hypermile techniques. That's drafting behind semis and stuff, and just going slow, using the right lane instead of using the left lane, and just really slow acceleration. So I use a lot of different hypermile techniques, and with those techniques, I can really bust out crazy ranges with this. I've seen as high as 130-mile range calculation with my hypermile technique. Another surprise is it's not hot in summer. I don't have any engine heat in summer. That's nice, right? Everyone's like, oh, are the batteries hot? No, they're not. Another surprise is I usually go in econ mode. Basically, that's less acceleration and heavy regeneration braking. And I like that mode the best over sport mode, because when I commute, I don't really need to, gun the throttle. But even in econ mode, this thing rips. But I like it because it does give me regen. I don't know if the regen helps that much. If I'm like true hypermiling, maybe I turn all regen off. But the reason I like regen mode is because it puts the brakes on for me. And I hardly use the brakes. I have a feeling these brake pads are going to last a long time because I really like using that regen braking. I probably cut out my brake usage by 70%, and I just let the regen brake me. It will brake faster than you expect, actually, by letting off the brakes. And as you let off the brakes and the regen turns on, the brake lights automatically turn on. So that's really cool. That's a surprise that I had, is I'm just used to the regen mode. I don't want to say it's one input operation on the right hand, but it's kind of close, right? And the brakes are good. The brakes are good. One of the things that surprised me is I use cruise control a lot. Cruise control is really handy on the commuter on this bike. I didn't expect to use it that much. On my Pan America, I didn't really use cruise control that much. On this bike, I do. I find it really helpful and handy. Again, another surprise that in the positive is the lack of engine noise when you're really cornering hard and when you're maybe going for a group ride or maybe just a sporty ride by yourself. Even though I really do like engine noise, and I think engine noise is fantastic, being quiet has its benefits. You can rip out of neighborhoods, you can rip around places a lot more without being noticed. So that's cool, and you're not bothering people. But it also allows you to focus on the road. Like, as a human, you have a certain set of senses. And you use all the senses like to your max capability. But you have a lot of inputs that are coming in your senses. Auditory, visual, feel, smell, touch, taste, whatever, right? You know, you just have X amount of capacity. Well, by taking the engine noise out of that, while sometimes I can give you information on like where your power is, in the Livewire, there's power everywhere, so you don't really need to like figure out where your power is. It's there all the time. You're at max torque all the time. So you don't need that engine noise, but what it allows you to do, it allows you to use your visual acuity to focus on the road and focus on corners and focus on placement better. It really does. Until you've experienced it, it might not make sense to you. But by taking that engine noise away, it allows you to focus on the road better for better placement of corners when you're really in it. And again, I said that torque, you're always in the right gear. So that's amazing that you are always in the right gear, you know, quote unquote, because it's a single speed direct drive. You have the same amount of torque from 0 to like max RPM. You never have to worry about it. So that's a pleasant surprise. You can pass when you need to and so forth. Another pleasant surprise is it can be fun to drive this bike slow. What do I mean by that? Well, it's fun I treat it as a game to try and get the best range and economy out of this bike. You treat it like a game. See if I can, you know, double my fuel range or double my driving range today. You know, it might not be as exciting in stop and go traffic to try, you know, as canyon carving, but it's something that I enjoy doing and something I can do in stop and go traffic, just to see what kind of great range I can get. All right, let me give you some negative surprises. The app, the Livewire app, has been quirky. Like, I've had to reinstall it a few times, and right now the app won't sync to my bike, won't pair to my bike. So the navigation is not great. It's very quirky. So I'd like the app to be a little better. There are some really cool things and cool features in the app, and I have a video, you should check it out here. But it has been a little bit quirky. A surprise to me is how going fast can knock out range quicker than published. Yeah, so the faster you go, your range drops like a rock. Where it's easier to get better range numbers by going, you know, slow and limited acceleration. It's also easy to knock your range out by going really fast. 75, 85, you're gonna get that 40-mile range on the highway. I miss engine heat in the way where I did like not having engine heat in summer. I miss it in winter, right? Okay. I do miss engine noise. As much as I say I like it quiet, sometimes I really enjoy the engine noise. It adds the fun visceral experience. But more than that, I miss shifting a lot of the time. You know, a lot of people don't like shifting. I actually miss shifting a little bit. I have other motorcycles, so I get that fixed. Some mild surprises. Just how much weather affects range. Yeah, so what I don't mean by like rain, but I mean temperature. Temperature really affects range on this bike, maybe by 15%. Just if it's cold, you're going to drop range. And how much speed affects range. I kind of said that. Like, so again, I've never had an EV before. It kind of makes sense. The faster you go, the more your range drops. And I have a theory. I've been reading that electric motorcycles are more efficient. They use 100% of the energy in the battery, where a car uses like 30% of the energy and the rest goes to heat. So I think you really get crushed on this range based on the drag. So I think if you eliminate drag on a EV, it's going to positively affect you more than it would on a gas bike, because you really can use more of the efficiency that the electric motor has. So I think EVs are much more sensitive to drag, wind resistance than a gas bike. And I just miss the top speed. Even though it's 103 miles an hour, you know, I've missed the top speed is what I'll say on a lot of gas bikes. You know, if you have a gas sport bike that's this quick, you expect it to go 150, 160 miles an hour, you know, on a close course, of course, and this thing will zoom up to 103 miles an hour, but then just stop where a gas bike will go. So I miss that. You know, if I'm on a drag strip for a quarter mile, my max speed is going to be 103 at the track. This bike is better suited for a 1/8 mile than a quarter mile. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me. There's some of my surprises. I hope that's kind of interesting to you. I hope this GoPro camera checks out okay. Again, it's a new GoPro 12. I've always recorded in GoPro 8, so this is my first video, yay. What surprises have you noticed if you own an electric motorcycle? Alright, please like and subscribe. Bonus features coming up. Alright, so here's the bonus features. People say they don't like the low speed handling. It's a little bit wonky turning on this big 19-inch front tire. That may be the case. I think it has more to do with the shape than the size of the tire. Maybe I'm wrong. And the roundness of the tire, I think it has a little bit wonky corner. I don't have a lot of cornering feel. It does have a lot of suspension travel, but yes, I do notice this bike is harsher than I want it to be on the bumps. So it's okay. It doesn't kill me, but it's definitely a little bit harsher on the bumps than I want it to be. No matter what you do on the suspension side, that's kind of fun though. Like, you know, I can imagine in a dirt track that could really help out. And because the bike's so easy to stand up from, it doesn't really crush my back or anything like that, because I can just put a lot of weight very easily on the foot pegs if I'm going over a big bump. And the wide handlebars make this easy. Some bikes are very flickable, and you initiate the flick from the handlebars. Some bikes you initiate the flick from the hips a little bit. This one, I'll say, because it's wide handlebars, it'd be more of a hip flickable. But because they're so handlebars, you can initiate it very neutral between the hands and the hips. I consider the flickability of this, that means transition side to side, neutral in the fact that it's not predominantly on the hips, it's not predominantly on the hands, but in the middle of both. I get a lot of looks, I get a lot of comments. People don't know what it is, very few do. But I do get a lot of looks. I really like the way this bike looks, and I love the color scheme. I love the finish on it. Customer support for Livewire and Harley Davidson. I have a very good dealer network, and they've been really good on both of them. Something that people think, they think that no one can hear me, so it can be more dangerous if people can't hear your motorcycle. Okay, that is so not true. Go look at the research. If you're saying that, you're just repeating what you think might be the case, but it's not the case. Go look at the research. What really causes motorcycle accidents is not anything auditory, it's all visual. So people don't see motorcycles or don't get the right depth perception of motorcycles. That is what causes most accidents. People left turning in front of you, or right, you know, if they're in front of you and they turn left. That causes accidents, not sound. Listen, sound on a motorcycle, most people aren't paying attention to the sound. They're blasting music and so forth. The exhaust pipe is facing rearward when you're passing cars. So, you know, they don't hear you. But being that this is a tall bike, they see you. So, yeah, this is a very nice thing, is that they can see you. It is not a beginner bike in my opinion. I think just the power, the amount of torque that it has, I think the shape of this wheels and the tallness of it kind of limit the beginner aspect of this bike. It can be great to learn on, but you got to be really careful because it could get you in trouble. I think the Mulholland, which I've ridden, is a better beginner bike, and I'll tell you why. You can see my review here. It's a better beginner bike because it's lower to the ground, it has stickier tires, and a smaller front tire, and a softer suspension. So yeah, you can flat foot a lot easier. I really recommend that if you're interested in the electric life, and it's a cruiser style. I like this style a lot better to me. Alright, there's my bonus extra feature, a little bit extra commentary. Guys, please like and subscribe again if you stuck around this long. Check out my Patreon channel, okay? I have lots of cool swag. You can join for free. If you join for free, maybe we'll get a little dialogue going. So yeah, check it out here, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.